Mary Oliver is a very much beloved poet among Unitarian Universalists, I think because she wrote a lot about drawing spiritual strength and inspiration from the world, from the creation. And she has many, many famous poems, and The Summer Day is one of those. And in it, she describes her encounter with a grasshopper on a lovely summer day that leads her to ask some big questions. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. As she talks about the grasshopper, Oliver reflects on how she has chosen to live her life in the moment, paying attention to the natural world around her, taking time to stroll in the fields and lie in the grass on a summer day. This poem is just one story of her one wild and precious life. And at the end of the poem, she poses that question to the rest of us. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? As this month's Soul Matters theme is living love through the practice of story, I thought it might be interesting to hear from some folks in our congregation about how they would respond to Mary Oliver's question and the story of their lives. So I reached out to First Parishers across different ages and stages of life, and Joe, Tip, Ruth, and Leslie offered their brave yes, and I thank them for being willing to share with us a bit of the stories of their precious and perhaps wild lives. We'll find out.
Hi, good morning. My name's Joe Volk. I'm not on a committee, so unlike Beth, if you see me, you don't have to avoid your eyes. I guess if this was a radio show, I'd be a first-time caller, long-time listener. So when Ellen asked me to do this, the part I focused on was what is your plan to do with your one precious life? And the short answer to the stick is I don't have a plan. Been winging it most of my life. You might be too. I didn't plan to meet my wife and fall in love with her when I was 18. Did not plan on having a career in finance when I spent most of my life working in symphony orchestras a long time ago. And as a parent, or if you've worked with small kids, you know that nothing goes according to plan. And you're pretty much winging it there too. But for the most part, winging it has worked out pretty well. But then, when you read the poem, I don't know, I took it as a challenge. Like, it says you should slow down and relax. Notice the things around you and take stock of what's precious. And those are two things I'm not very good at. So I guess it was kind of sobering to think about it, because I don't have a good answer for that. And sort of just, I don't know. The other sobering part is that it's sort of like, everything comes to an end. And, in the U.S., most men make it to about 75, and it means I'm about halfway there and got about 14,000 days to go. And so I want to make them count. And so it just sort of reinforces that it is precious. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer to the question, what am I going to do with my precious life? But I know that I don't pay attention to a lot of things every day. I miss a lot of the important things because of the busyness of life. So I guess I'll just say that the alternative is being on cruise control, and I don't know, just would encourage you, if you're like me, to find time to be more present and appreciate the grasshoppers and all that. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't do this very often, ever. With my one wild and precious life? What a question. Wild, what does that mean? Does it mean crazy, reckless, adventurous? Not to me. To me, wild means unplanned, unpredictable. It's the surprise encounters, the unexpected turns, the moments that arrive without warning. Like meeting that one special person, or maybe learning that one truth that changes everything from then on. Some things that may not fit neatly at the time, but somehow add depth and color and meaning to life. Precious. What is precious? To me, it's knowing that we only have one life to share with the people you love and the people that love you. Time is fleeting. There never seems to be enough of it with those who matter. Perhaps making it precious is that it is limited. That every moment we have together is both irreplaceable and worth cherishing. Quiet moments with reading my son Max, or playing games with Owen, doing New York Times puzzles with Molly every night. Trying to make those moments count. Make them matter in ways that are real, even if they are small, because in the end, little moments add up. And how do I plan for this one precious and wild life? I can't know what's coming. Life doesn't give a map. It gives you space to walk and the freedom to choose directions, make decisions in the moment. But while I wait for life to unveil its mysteries, I choose to be someone who makes the journey meaningful, embrace in trying to enjoy the unexpected, treasure the small moments with friends and family. I will try to be a good person, one who listens deeply, with not only my ears but my heart, who holds space for others' truths and struggles, who speaks honestly in kindness, who seeks to understand rather than judge, to practice patience with myself and others, knowing that growth is a slow, winding path, and making mistakes is all part of it. I will try not to control everything, but I will try to show up with intention, with love, with a commitment to doing my best I can, even when I don't exactly know what best looks like. This is my plan, to embrace the wildness of the unknown, to treasure the preciousness of every moment, and to live in a way that is true, even when it can't predict the outcome. And in so, I will make this one life, this one wild and precious life, worth every heartbeat.
Good morning. I'm Ruth Whalen Crockett. When Reverend Allen invited the four of us to speak on this theme of how one lives our one wild and precious life, she encouraged us to contemplate a variety of questions. One that I found particularly compelling was this: is the life you are living the one you imagined when you were a child or a teenager? So I'm going to stick on that one. It seems a little bit more manageable. When I was 16 years old, I was living a very average life in middle America. I lived in a small white suburb located inside the city of Madison, Wisconsin. I was doing well in school, involved in lots of activities, but I wasn't very happy. My mother observed me closely and noted my unhappiness. For several years, she had served as a lead parent volunteer for the American Field Service, an international exchange program. And she presented me with 2 scholarship opportunities that would afford me to study abroad my junior year of high school. One was a one-year program in Germany, and the other was a year in Mexico. Enrolled in Spanish classes, I applied for the Mexico experience and was accepted. And during my junior year, I lived with a family of 4 in Tapachula, Chiapas, an industrial city located on the southern Pacific coast bordering Guatemala. Now, as an adult, I see that the year was wildly transformative, one that changed me in all ways. However, at the time, as a 16-year-old with a fairly underdeveloped frontal lobe, I didn't fully understand the significance or scale of my choice to live with another family who spoke a different language and lived under completely different cultural norms. The outcome of the year was that I became a bilingual and bicultural person who learned to navigate uncomfortable spaces by taking a deep breath and flashing a warm smile. Making language mistakes or misunderstanding cultural norms was my social currency, as they often resulted in laughter and paved the way for connection and new relationships. This choice to live in Mexico for 1 year set the baseline for adventures and risk-taking from then on out. In the following formative years, new opportunities and choices were measured against a year abroad in Mexico. I remember vividly being dropped off at college and thinking to myself, well, this can't be as culturally shocking as living a year in Mexico. Deciding where to go to college, moving to Massachusetts to teach at a new progressive charter school, getting married, going to graduate school, buying a 2-family fixer-upper in Lowell, having children, none of these decisions ever felt as daunting or seismic as deciding to live a year in Mexico. Although they were significant changes, they felt less wild. Maybe it was because I spoke the language, or I was accompanied by a loving companion, or I wasn't confronted by a distance that would result in me paying $1 a minute to phone home. Do you remember when that was a thing? And then a year ago, I made a choice that has once again made me aware that I was on the edge of something that would be likely wildly transformative. I decided to leave my job teaching teachers at the very small charter school that I had started at in 1998 to begin teaching English to newcomer immigrants at Lowell High School. I went from a school of 380 students to one of 3,500. Today, I teach children from over 20 nations who speak more than 10 different languages. The moment we begin to understand one another, I'm encouraged to promote my student to the next level. Today, I see my work as creating a space where children can make language mistakes and misunderstand cultural norms. And if I'm doing my job right, we often share laughter in these moments, and which ultimately paves the way for connection and relationship building. Right now, I'm too much in the middle of this wild transition to make much sense of it. I had hopes that in writing this essay and doing this exercise, I might arrive at greater clarity. I am aware that I have a great deal to learn. There are so many ways in which I can better serve my students. And I am deeply aware that this new position is changing me. I will never see public education in the same way. My understanding of community and my neighbors has been transformed. Is the life I'm living the one I imagined as a teenager? I'm not sure about that. But as I begin each day in my classroom with a deep breath and a warm smile, it feels wildly familiar and spectacularly precious.
How is everybody? Dolores, where are you? I just had something. Wait, oh, okay, because what she said was so close to what I wrote. Okay. One college summer vacation, I got a job waiting tables and singing in the cafe at the Falmouth Playhouse. I was a commuting student living at home, and so this was my first extended time away from a very domineering mother. Yippee. One evening after closing, the stagehand kids had a great idea. Let's sit around and drink a pitcher of cheap cheap wine. Great idea number 2 was to then, later, pile into one of their cars and drive up the unlit Cape Cod Road to a tavern where we continued to drink, this time beer. We sat around for a while being witty and pithy, not really. Without belaboring the revolting details of this life's episode, I'll just say I later collapsed back at my place in bed and then woke up in the morning in a similar fashion, kind of sick. That morning, I dragged myself to the payphone, yeah, I'm that old, and called my dad at work, who very kindly recommended ginger ale and never told my mom. God rest his soul. I also never told him about that car ride. I have a recurring memory of sitting in the back seat of that car as we tooled fearlessly down a dark, winding Cape Road. On the left side of a double yellow line. I wish I could say that I took my second chance at my wild and precious life and became a great philanthropist, a coveted writer, a champion of the downtrodden. No, and I've made my share of kind of stupid mistakes in subsequent years. But all in all, I think I've led a worthy and decent life, and I am ever thankful for my second chance at it. I have come to believe that sometimes, if you're lucky, the sacrilege of youth will meet at the crossroad of God's grace. Take care of your precious, wonderful lives. Thank you.